Today, we're going to have a little longer one than normal. This is the presidential debate, which upon reviewing it, I watched a live feed and it looked pretty shaky. And for whatever reason, I had it DVR'd on NBC. I don't ever watch NBC. If I want to see the other viewpoint, I normally do an ABC. But you got to see this thing. I have to start it here because you can hear the fix in when they bring out their panel. Listen to them here, and they say they're going to have an instant fact checker on everything that Trump says, but they're not going to apply the fact checker to Joe Biden unless he says something way out in the left field. The other thing is you need to know ahead of time is that I didn't really listen to the rules like I should have. When Wallace comes out, he says we're going to have 6 15-minute rounds. I'm going to ask the questions. I'm going to ask a question. Each candidate is going to have a 2-minute response. Okay, so that's 4 minutes of the 16. Then he says, then the rest of the time is open discussion. Well, open discussion, there is no interruption and there is no cutting in by the moderator because it's open discussion. But as you'll see, the first category was talking about the Supreme Court nominee, and Chris Wallace doesn't even finish the 16-minute session. He hears somebody say something and picks up on it, and he says, you know, I just heard somebody say la, 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 and that's one of the topics we're going to cover later. So why don't we just switch over to it now? And he starts a new question to get a 2-minute response from each guy and open up the open discussion again. So no wonder Chris Wallace had no handle on this thing. I could get this to start playing now, because you've heard what you need kind of from me.
From NBC News, the presidential debate. Here are Lester Holt and Savannah Guthrie.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first 2020 presidential debate. Donald Trump and Joe Biden face-to-face with election
And it doesn't take us but to get into the first question. And Joe Biden calls the President of the United States a clown, a liar, and tells him to shut up.
The moderator is Fox News anchor
right off the beginning.
And the stakes, well, they're high. The presidency
and then I'll show you later the wire that Joe Biden's wearing in his jacket. And the comeback from the Biden campaign is they keep showing a picture of his wrist where he wears a rosary. Well, the wire's in his jacket. It's not on his wrist, so why show the wrist? And why would Joe Biden wear a rosary in honor of his late son, Beau, when he's pro-abortion and he can brag on the point that he's had his part of killing 64 million babies in the womb? You think his dead son would approve of that? So Joe, you could take that rosary off and just stomp it into pieces because it means nothing to you at all. You're part of the Democratic killing machine that says it's a woman's body,
very different candidates and two very
which it's not. It's its own life inside of a woman. There are 2 lives and 2 bodies. But if a woman wants to go out and be a hooker, it's against the law, but it's her body. She wants to be a heroin addict, it's against the law, but it's her body. But if she wants to take a separate being that's inside of her and kill it, and in some cases after it's been born, and kill it, oh, that's fine. And look at these teenage girls that get away with everything when they'll give birth and throw it in a garbage bag and put it in a dumpster. But no, this isn't. Here. There. Oh, I got to back that up. I talked too much. I'm sorry. Here's the part I wanted you to hear.
A lot of less of a referendum by Q&As with his top advisors. On the Biden side, people familiar with his planning say the focus this week has gotten more intense as he has done issue-by-issue practice sessions, essentially. When you talk about topics, watch for President Trump to try to turn this race into less of a referendum and more of a choice. He will likely go on attack, probably, according to aides who have been previewing this, by getting personal with Joe Biden, potentially going after his son, Hunter Biden. On the other side, Joe Biden will focus on the pandemic. He wants to keep the focus on that, and you won't see a lot of live fact-checking from him unless something is particularly egregious, Savannah.
All right, also with us is NBC News political director and moderator.
So you heard that. They're really not going to fact check Joe Biden, but they're going to be watching every word of Donald Trump.
It's an unusual situation when the front runner is the challenger and the person that has to upend the race is actually the incumbent, and that's Donald Trump here. I'm curious to see, does President Trump, he's been telegraphing that he's
now I'm going to speed to get ahead of this.
Whatever it takes to shake up Joe
Oh,
Biden.
here comes
But
Chris
does he
Wallace.
actually tell voters what
So
he wants
listen to him say the rules and then not follow him right from the first question.
It's obvious. Is he able to parry away by Trump's attacks without chasing him down rabbit holes?
We're about 30 seconds away. Senior Washington correspondent Andrea Mitchell is there. The moderator is in place. This race has been remarkably stable, but a debate always has the opportunity to upend things, Andrea.
Absolutely. And Donald Trump goes into this debate farther behind in national polls than any incumbent.
We're going to speed this up because we don't need any more of their stuff. You already know that they're going to fact check Trump, but not Biden.
But I would
Amazing.
not bet on any conventional wisdom tonight. He is a performer. And of course, we have to see.
Well, here it comes, so we can hang through it.
All right, Andrea.
Okay.
Thanks. And with the
Now look at
debate
Chris.
about
Chris
to
don't
begin,
even
we
know
want
what
to
he's
go
doing.
to
Look at him
Cleveland
here. He doesn't
moderator
even know when
Chris
he's coming on.
Wallace.
Look at this guy. Where are we at? What are we doing? Oh, we're on?
Good evening from the Health Education
pay attention
campus
here.
of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules. For the record, I decided the topics and the questions in each topic. I can assure you.
Now, you heard him say the rules, but Chris doesn't stay to the rules right off the very first question.
Conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland Clinic, which is serving as the health security.
And of course, we've got to have the freaking
all 4
COVID-19 disclaimer.
As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed the candidates will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, no boos or other interruptions.
And pay attention to the people wearing masks, because everybody there was instant checked before they were let in.
Except right now, as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden.
All right, here we go. There's our president, and there's his idiot. How you doing, man? Should have been Mr. President.
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
And watch the timestamp, because we should have 16 minutes taken up by the time he starts asking this question.
To consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight, why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time, even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose her. And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they try and do it faster. There's no way they would give it up.
Look at Joe Biden. Everything's a joke to him.
But the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped. And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump,
There's his 2 minutes.
Same question to you.
Now we go to
President
2 minutes
Biden.
for Joe Biden.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. And
Let's waste half of it with thank yous because I ain't sure what the hell to say.
the American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for a United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States.
Which they did already.
They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is. Because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that, he ran on that, and he's been governing.
Question is about
He's in
the
Supreme
nominee.
Court right now trying to get rid of
Remember that.
the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million
And he's talking about health
from
care.
having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court. And the justice, and I have nothing, I'm not opposed to the justice, she seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing that's on the court, and if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be held, pay more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. We're able to
See, back to health care.
charge a woman more for the same exact
The question is,
procedure.
what's wrong with the
Yes.
nominee?
And that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act.
And he's back to
And
health
there's
care.
100 million people who have pre-existing conditions.
Do you hear
And
Chris
they'll be
Wallace
taken away
saying,
as well.
Joe, that's
Those
not the
pre-existing
question.
conditions,
Can we,
insurance
this is the
companies
very
all over
first
this.
one. Can we
And so
stay
it's
on
just not
topic?
appropriate
Trump
to do
shakes
this
his head and says,
before
what the hell is this guy
election.
talking about?
If
He's supposed to be
wins
talking
the
about
election
Judge
and
Amy.
the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February. All right.
There aren't 100 million
Okay.
people with pre-existing conditions.
Okay, now we
As
should
far
have
as the say is
12
concerned,
minutes
people
of
are already
open
had this say.
discussion.
They-
Open
Okay,
discussion means you
Justice
can't
Ginsburg
interrupt.
said very
So
powerfully,
watch.
very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
During that
There's the
period of
first
time,
interruption
during
by
that
who?
period of time,
Biden.
We have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years.
The
And the
election's
100
already
million
There's
people-
the second
the
interruption
100
by
million people
Biden.
is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
That's the
You're
third
saying
interruption
socialist.
by Biden.
Just socialist.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Open discussion.
Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number one.
So why go ahead?
he
He's
knows
interrupted
that,
3
what I
times already.
What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare.
And he's
and
back
we
to
increase it. We do
Obamacare.
not wait
Remember,
any-
we
and
got
one
12
of the big
minutes to
debates
talk
we had
about
with
the Supreme
23
Court
of My
nominee.
colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can. They do. They will under my proposal.
Not what you said,
But
and it's not what
that
your party
is-
has said.
that is simply
Your party
a lie.
doesn't say it. Your party
is
wants to
simple.
go socialist
My
medicine
party is
and
me.
socialist
Right
healthcare.
now, I am
And
the
they're going to
Democratic
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
I'm the
Democratic
Democratic
is what
Party.
I, in fact,
It's what I say.
what I approved of.
What I
Now, Here's
do.
the deal.
Here's the deal.
Is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way,
Now, we're going into
the
pre-existing
200
conditions.
200,000
Remember,
people
this
that
is
have
an
died
open
on his
discussion
how many of
about
those
the
have
nominee for the
survived?
Supreme
Well,
Court.
there's
So
7
what
million
planet
people
is
who
Joe
contracted
Biden
COVID.
on?
What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act.
Joe, you've had 308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me about this.
I'm happy to talk about
And
this.
if you were here,
Look,
it wouldn't be 200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw. You didn't want me to ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban
All right, gentlemen,
which was heavily
Mr. President,
You would have been
Mr.
much
President,
later, Joe.
Mr. President,
much later.
Mr. President.
You're talking about 2 million people.
You're not
Mr. President, as a moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
Let me finish.
See?
The point is
We're
that
going to go
the president
across
also
COVID
is
in the
opposed
next
to
section,
Roe
but
v.
go
Wade.
ahead.
That's on the
So
ballot
much
as
for
well,
our
in the
open
court,
discussion
in the court.
about the court for
And so
12
that's
minutes.
also at stake
So
right
that
now.
threw that
And
right
so
out the
election is
window.
already
You don't know it's on the
begun.
ballot. Why is it on the ballot?
Because
And why did Chris
why isn't
Wallace
it
attack
on
the
the ballot?
president during
it's
open
on the ballot
discussion?
in the
I don't
court,
think so.
In the court. Well,
There's nothing happening there.
Donald, would
And you
just
don't
be quiet
know
for a minute?
her view on Roe v. Wade. You
I
don't
don't
know her
know.
view.
Well, all right, let's talk. We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time. So, on health care,
See?
and then we'll come
Okay,
back to Roe v. Wade.
we've
All right,
dropped
Mr.
we've dropped the
President,
judge, so we
Supreme
didn't get our
Court here
16-minute.
a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask my question, sir.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan
Yes,
to
I have.
replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well,
I got rid of the
and
individual
when I finish, I'm going to
mandate.
give you an
Excuse me.
opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a
That is
big
not a
chunk of
comprehensive
That
plan.
is absolutely a big thing. That was the
I
worst
didn't
part of
ask,
Obamacare.
sir.
Chris,
You're
that was the
debating him,
worst
not
part of
me.
Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare.
Listen to Joe. Listen to the moderator attack the president of the United States.
And I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your question. You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace
There's an
Obamacare.
accusation,
And
not a question.
Just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him. But
Exactly.
That's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something. That there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against big
Now,
pharma.
you know, we should still
Drug
be on the
prices will be
Supreme
coming
Court
down 80 and
nomination
90%.
by the
You could have done
timeline.
it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care.
What about
All of the
pre-existing
things that
conditions?
we've done,
He has not cut
insulin. I
health
give
care.
you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water, you want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs what we're doing, prescription drug
Laugh
prices.
some more,
We're
Joe.
going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because
When in
they
fact-
pay just a
Interrupt
tiny
again,
fraction.
Joe.
No, but this is what
Interrupt again, Chris Wallace.
I'm about to pick up on one of your points.
See?
To ask the vice president. Which
Supposed
is,
to
he
be the
points
same
out
question.
That you would like to add a public option.
Which it's not
to
the same
Obamacare.
question,
And
see?
The argument that he makes.
He gives
and other
Joe a
Republicans
different
make,
question.
Is that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
will.
And he,
I ask you the question. It will
Not what your
end.
party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so
Now
poor
it's
they
open
qualify
discussion.
For Medicaid, they can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option. Number one.
Joe, you
Number
agree
two.
with Bernie
Number-
Sanders,
I-
who's
I
far
did-
left, on the
Now,
manifesto.
Trump
You-
finally cuts in.
Manifesto, you socialize medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you saying
I'm not
you
going
didn't
to
agree?
listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
I'm not gonna listen to
I
him.
beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm
Not
here
much.
standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days
I tell
early.
you,
You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to
on
do
Super
is hurt.
Tuesday. You got
Look,
very lucky.
here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make
what?
sure, because
With what?
here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
Well, remember, they got the live fact checker on NBC.
I want to make sure
They haven't spoke up, so everything Trump said has been true.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that.
And why let him
Yes.
finish? It's open discussion now.
Pick a surprise.
The wrong guy, the wrong night at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The whole idea.
Let him.
See, there goes
is
Chris
no
again.
manifesto
Shut up,
movie.
Chris. It's open discussion.
You just lost the left.
Number two,
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
folks,
Absolutely
folks,
agreed
do you have
to.
any
Under that
idea
plan,
what
you have
this clown's
socialized, they
doing?
call it
Now he calls the president a clown.
socialized medicine.
Mr.
I tell
President,
you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two,
yeah.
there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give
Number
them better
three.
health care at a much lower price because
and by the way, he
Obamacare
doesn't
is
know
no
how.
good.
He doesn't know how
I've
to do
already
that.
fixed it.
He has never
I've
offered
already
a
fixed
plan.
it to an extent.
He has never
Obamacare,
done a
as you
single
might
thing.
know, but probably don't.
gentlemen,
Obamacare
you realize
is no
if you're
good,
both
Joe.
speaking at the
It's
same
no good,
time,
and it's too expensive.
let the
They
president.
can. It's open
Obamacare
discussion,
is no
Chris.
good.
Shut
We
up.
made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guaranteed pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed, they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay? I said, you got to run it so well. And I just had a meeting with them. They said, the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive, premiums are too high, and it doesn't work. So we do want to get rid of
It's
it.
Chris Wallace running his mouth again. This is open
You
discussion.
roughly equal time, please.
No, you don't.
The
It's
Vice
open
President.
discussion.
He has no plan for health care.
Of course we do.
Of course. Stick up for Biden again, Wallace.
Wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right, I have one final question for you.
Sure.
Now we're into a third question. How did we get there?
We were talking.
How did we get to the third question? We should be 32 minutes in.
And confirm Justice Barrett.
Now he goes back to the Supreme
There has been
Court.
talk about ending the filibuster or even.
Oh, here we go. Watch this
adding
part.
To the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take in that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote.
See, no answer to the question. Where's Chris Wallace saying, please answer my question?
Vote now.
You're going to pack the court?
Make sure you, in fact.
So Donald says you got to answer the question?
I'm not going to
You're not
answer
gonna
the
answer?
question.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
the question.
See, and he just says, I'm not going to answer the question.
Radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is
Now
on
he
your
tells them,
list,
will you
Joe?
shut up,
This is
man?
correct.
This is an open discussion.
He's going to pack the court.
We have
I'm not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the
We
second
haven't ended the
segment.
segment. Now we're on to the fourth segment. So we should be at a 1 hour timestamp. We're at 23 minutes.
47 years, you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious
But he's asked
subject,
4
so
questions, but this is the second
let's
subject.
try to be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases
And even at that,
of
16 and
coronavirus in the
16
United
is
States,
32.
and more
We
than
should be a 32-minute
200,000 people
timestamp,
have died. Even
not 24.
after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? in this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
2 minutes.
Good luck.
Good luck. He's done it every
200,000
time.
As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly
The president
disease.
patiently
What did he
waiting
do?
the 2 minutes.
He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't
But
tell
everybody
us or
says
give
he
people a
didn't,
warning
but he's
of it
patiently
because he
waiting
didn't
for
want
his
to panic
time.
the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan.
Wrong.
I laid out
Sir,
back
it
in
is 2
March
minutes.
exactly
So-
what we should be
It's
doing.
an awful long 2
And
minutes,
I laid
isn't
out
it?
again in July. what
But
we
Chris
should be
doesn't
doing.
cut him
We should
off.
be
Talk
providing
some
all
more.
the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and
Think
get
about that.
people the help they need to keep their businesses
Look on your own watch.
Open schools. It costs a lot of money.
2
You
minutes.
should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand
He
trap.
tells
and
the
get
president
people in
to
their
get
golf
out of
course
his
and go to the
bunker.
Oval Office and bring together the Democrats.
Joe, the
and
one's been
Republicans,
in the
and
basement.
fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened
Wait,
to
you have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would
No,
have
he's going to
listened
tell
to
him you have 2
the
minutes.
country would
Watch
have been
him
left
jump on
wide
Trump.
open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our
There
country.
goes Joe
You
interrupting.
didn't think we should have
Chris
closed our
doesn't
country
call him
because
out.
you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of you Democrat governors said President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that.
And we know this is
President
true.
Trump
No
did a
fact checker
phenomenal
saying
job.
he's wrong.
We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't
done.
do very well in swine flu.
Now we're in open
H1N1.
discussion.
You were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was
A
no
very-
economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There
far
was
less
no
lethal
recession.
Now there goes
Make a
Chris
point.
Wallace
I mean,
interrupting,
No one-
but we're in
no,
open
we didn't shut down
discussion.
the economy. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far
How
more
many
people.
people?
Far
That is-
more people.
And
You would have been
And by the way,
months late.
your own,
You were
his
months behind me,
own
Joe.
CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, We're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
we
trust
Dr. Fauci.
Johnson, Pfizer?
Okay,
by the way, gentlemen, let me move on to questions about the future, because you both have touched on one of the...
we were supposed to have another 16-minute section. Here comes Chris Wallace, and we're moving on again.
Repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the...
We're going to cut here from this.
Redfield said it would be summer.
Because it is, you know, it is an hour and a half long, okay? But there you go. Watch it for yourself. We're 30 minutes in. Joe Biden's done all the interrupting. Chris Wallace has attacked the president during open discussion, right? Tried to slap him down like he's a little schoolboy. Trump's taken all that. The vice president has called the president a clown. He's told him to shut up, man. And bang. They asked Biden the question about the filibuster and stacking the court, and he says, I'm not going to answer that. You didn't hear any comeback from Chris Wallace. So Trump took care of it. So, hey, you can pull this off if you want to watch the rest. But, you know, once I get out this far, people will tune out. But there it is in the beginning. So, as they say, I'm out. What I'll be back with, because I got to get the timestamp, is I'm going to show you Joe Biden adjusting the wire inside of his jacket. So we'll be back with that shortly, okay? I'm out.